So we get to the third component of this overall structure, and it's closely examining the opening for figurative language, aspects of sound and rhythm and imagery and lexis that we might use. I'll prompt you to this key at the top for figurative language, imagery and sound. We're using the blue colour, structure, form and rhythm. We're going to use the red, and then unusual lexis we'll use black. So the poem opens with this sort of confessional voice, "When I was 5 in Louisville," that has, I think, a very deliberate confessional element to it, and I think a deliberate sort of personal anecdotal structure. So it's both confessional and anecdotal, the opening voice, which brings us to see this, when we're thinking about the tension between imagism and confessional poetry. We're much more in the realm here, I think, of a confessional poem. So the opening voice, "When I was 5 in Louisville," is, I think, an aspect of the poem's overall form. What you can hear, though, in the opening line is assonance, I, 5, Louisville. We've got that emphatic emphasis on the I sound, which I think the assonance here connects to the personal quality of this poem. The sound that's actually emphasized is the I sound in the lines. We drove to see nighttime fires. And now I think that aspect of the form, this confessional voice, this anecdotal element to the poem here, gives us a sense, I think, of uncertainty. So this anecdote is designed to create a sense of uncertainty, I think, because we, again, are aware that this is perhaps an unorthodox choice for a family bonding ritual, and that we are struggling to sort of contain a sense of surprise, I think, at the danger that's invoked here. We piled 7 of us, all pyjamas and running noses, into the Olds, drove fast towards smoke. Now, one of the interesting features here is piled 7 of us. We know that then there's a big family here, all pyjamas and running noses. This is a figurative device called metonym, where these objects themselves, the pyjamas and the running noses, function as kind of metaphorical connotations for children, perhaps also with an element of surprise. They're unusual clothes. So this pyjamas and running noses gives us, again, I think, a connotation also of the fact that these individuals in this family are indistinct. This is not each individual child listed and labelled. It is 7 of us, all pyjamas and running noses. Into the Oldsmobile, drove fast towards smoke. Now, there's something slightly paradoxical here, particularly, I think, playing with our expectations when it comes to narrative. There's a sort of paradoxical element to this. You can't exactly call it a paradox, but it's paradoxical in its logic. We don't normally associate nighttime panics with a car driving towards the scene of danger. So we've got the sense of unorthodox behaviour here as they drive to the scene of danger. So we know we're being given some form. We've already said about the title that it's nighttime fires, and that invokes this connotation of a bonding ritual. Well, we're certainly being given an unusual here, as a whole family of 7 children are piled into a car, which again is another suggestion that it's unsafe, towards a burning neighbourhood. And it's the burning neighbourhood that's going to provide the impetus for the connection. Then what we're given is the context, the father's background. It was after my father lost his job. So not getting up in the morning gave him time. So we've got, again, some interesting features in terms of the rhythm here. There's a sort of enjambment here that runs across this entire section dealing with the father, that I think gives us the sense of time passing quickly. And that actually perhaps this ritual is a way of filling the void, because he has, after all, lost his job. Getting up in the morning gave him time. Again, there's something paradoxical about this as well. that in some way being awake is giving him some kind of gift that he is unfamiliar with or surprised by. Awake past midnight, he read old newspapers with no news. Again, another paradoxical statement that shows us, I think, the purposeless nature of his existence without a job. It's paradoxical that you would read newspapers with no news. Tried crosswords until he split the pencil between his teeth. So this imagery here, I think, forewarns us about an appetite for destruction, which we see in the poem. So we've got what they're about to do and the reason why in this opening section. They're about to undergo a bizarre kind of nighttime family bonding ritual in order to channel their father's barely suppressed rage at perhaps his social alienation, his class victimization, and his loss of economic power.